We've learnt that if you want to make change in anything that's remotely controversial, you need a strong case for change that has serious emotional resonance for people, that acts as a vehicle for compelling people to take action and condemning them if they don't. It needs to be that powerful. Clinical leaders with ambition to drive change are vital to any sort of improvement in healthcare across the board. It's not sufficient in itself. Clinicians on their own is not sufficient. No matter how good they are, they need to be backed up by decisive management, they need to be backed up by proper resources, and most importantly, they need to be exposed through the process that they have to lead. Delivering change in the NHS can be a brutally exposing business, and it can wear down even the most experienced people. It's very easy for clinicians in that position to become extremely stressed by the intensity of it all, to become extremely frustrated about the pace that it's possible to take change forward, and to become disillusioned with the tendency of politicians and others to reduce what are actually complex, finely balanced arguments to a sort of soundbite. Third thing for us to think about is scale. So there's a lot of rhetoric about bottom up at the moment, which means small scale change is good, and indeed it is. There are plenty of examples around the whole of London of new leaders in CCGs taking forward change with their health and wellbeing board at local level, and that for sure needs to be supported. But some of the most successful changes in London have been taken on across the whole of the capital. And in our experience, it's wrong to try to break up such big programmes into individual piecemeal chunks, either in some sort of misguided way of giving the illusion of it being bottom up, or alternatively to try to somehow mitigate the challenge that comes with taking forward big change programmes. So what about the things that have been insurmountable and more difficult, and what have we learned from that? I want to pick, there's been plenty actually, but the first is that the sheer length of time it takes to make any change in the NHS at the moment. So what's now seen as good practice involves at least 6 to 12 months sort of pre-consultation engagement. It involves external reviews from the OGC, from NCAT, followed by 3 to 4 months formal consultation, followed by probably a referral from an overview and scrutiny committee, followed, if it's very controversial, by a judicial review, maybe followed after that by an independent reconfiguration panel, which again will take months, followed by no doubt some re-referral back to look at other details, to make some alternative recommendations, to find more evidence, followed by, ultimately, if you're extremely lucky, a Secretary of State decision. So even for things where there's really, really strong evidence, like the stroke programme, that takes 2 years. The reality of taking 2 years is that several hundred people died unnecessarily while we were sitting there trying to manage this bureaucracy. People's mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers died unnecessarily. Now, that I'm not in any sense arguing that we shouldn't be properly open to discussion, properly open to challenge, of course we should, but a process that is so open-ended is likely to seem like an insurmountable barrier to emerging CCGs. Second issue that I'd raise that we've found very difficult and in some cases insurmountable is the sort of perpetual political demand for compromise. So the whole process of consultation and discussion is designed to find ways of amending proposals, thinking about how things can be done differently. But what happens is that these changes are so difficult and so politically sensitive that inevitably you get pressed and pressed and pressed again to make more and more and more compromise, until eventually you can be in a place where the proposals no longer seem to address the original problem. In our experience, responding solely to political pressure and making compromises in the face of that is a mistake. It's easy to say it's a mistake, it's very difficult to resist it. Look into the future, what are the opportunities, what are the challenges for the new system? Well, I've been going around over the last few weeks to visit most of the CCGs in London. And one of the things that's really genuinely exciting that comes out of those visits is the ambition that CCGs have got to make changes for their local communities. So they want to improve health, they want to reduce health inequalities, they want to invest more money in out-of-hospital care, they're committed to integrated care, and that ambition can be supported by the commissioning board, because for the first time you bring together responsibility for commissioning specialised services with responsibility for commissioning primary care. However, the new system faces immense challenges. The financial situation is very difficult, far more difficult than it was for us when we first started, and there are some blatant quality and safety problems in some of our providers that demand urgent attention. And leadership for strategic change is potentially fragmented and is indeed very thinly spread. London has some unique strengths and it also has some unique challenges, and there's no way, in my opinion, that you can provide leadership for it through a series of disconnected national silos. So the challenge for London's leaders is to find a way of working together, find effective ways of coming together so that we can make bold decisions, or more bold decisions, at scale across London, and so that we can provide the space, the support, the resources that are necessary for local leaders in CCGs and in health and wellbeing boards to have the autonomy that they deserve to take forward change at local level. That's a massive challenge, an absolutely massive challenge. But when you stop to think about what the alternative might be, then what could be a more important mission for them to do together? Thank you very much.